The School of the Manticore is probably the most mysterious Witcher school out of all of them. However, knowledge and information available on the school is very limited, which is why I've been kind of hesitant to cover them, as I don't really feel comfortable stretching out the little amount of information we have on them across like 10 or so minutes. But the School of the Manticore has been one of the most requested videos, and after thinking for a moment and seeing some of the more new recent information, I decided it probably can do no harm to make a video on them. The School of the Manticore is a very isolated Witcher school, the existence of which seems to almost be a myth to the other Witchers of the continent. They are so isolated, in fact, that the secrecy of the Viper School has nothing on the School of the Manticore. We don't really know when the School of the Manticore was founded, but there are two ways it might have happened. As the Witch Order fell, new schools were created left and right, starting with the bear and ending with the wolf. However, we get most of the information from the point of view of Erland of Larvik, who was second to last to found the school. It could very well have been possible that a small group of Witchers left between when Erland found the School of the Griffin and when the School of the Wolf was created from what remained of the Order. Seeing how the School of the Manticore operates to the east of the continent around Zerrikania, it makes sense for Erland to perhaps not be aware of a school that almost never comes to the Northern Realms. The second option would have to be either a rogue mage or a Witcher, leaving behind one of the existing Witcher schools to start somewhere new. Witchers have been widely disliked by a lot of people across the north and south. It could be possible that one of them wanted to start somewhere new, where there were monsters plenty and where people didn't hate them yet. Which could therefore make sense to go to Zerrikania. Zerrikania would also be a great place for a mage who had gotten his hands on the Witcher mutations to start experimenting, as it fell outside of the territory controlled by the Brotherhood of Sorcerers, and also outside of the reach of Nilfgaard's strict magic rules. Although it has to be noted that the School of the Manticore already existed well before Nilfgaard started their expansion north. In 1201, a Witcher named Merten set foot in Toussaint, and he left quite an impression. He was a heavy drinker and indulged himself in many things northern religions would find sinful. He would eventually one day decide to fight the Ducal Guard while drunk, which ended in him getting locked up in prison for more than a year. After getting out of jail, Merten would better his life, leaving behind the life of a Witcher, and instead he would spread the word of Lebioda, after having been converted behind bars. He would also change his name to Chavel, instead of Merten. For 5 years, the only Manticore Witcher that we knew of was Merten. But there is a new Manticore Witcher on the horizon, named Alvar. About a week ago, the Kickstarter of the Witcher Old World board game went live, and amongst the stretch goals is some stuff from the School of the Manticore. We get a new image of a Witcher named Alvar, who based on setting of the game, lived somewhere between 1050 to 1150. In both his statue and in his art, we can see him using, quite surprisingly, a shield. Also, his sword seems to be a bit more curved, moving away a bit from the Manticore swords we see in the Blood and Wine DLC. Another thing to note is that there will be a location for the Manticore Keep in the board game, which has not yet received a name. It seems like we'll start to get more of a clear distinction between the Manticore school and the other Witcher schools. We already knew from Blood and Wine that the Manticore Witchers probably used a lot of potions, based on toxicity traits of their armor. But the use of a shield would make them stand out a lot from other Witcher schools. It is possible to equip and walk around with a shield in Witcher 3, however it's not really that useful. But this is where I kind of want to end the video. The Manticore school is quite unknown, with the barrier of the Blue Mountains and the Korth Desert making it not any easier to meet them. Also, through some mysterious way, Vesemir once obtained Manticore armor, which he gave to Geralt in Witcher 1, which was kind of only decided to be Manticore armor when Blood and Wine released. More information on the School of the Manticore will most likely be available once the board game releases, which should be in about a year from now if I remember correctly. Would you like to see Alvar and his fellow Witchers appear in Gwent? Till the next video. Bye.